Tonight I want to talk to you about how you can become an open source superstar. If you're like me, I come to conferences like Fluent, and I want to meet all these people who make these libraries and these frameworks that you use at work every day. You know, that they're like your heroes in the community, right? Because they save you time, they help you get your work done. And everybody wants to be that hero. Everybody wants to be that person, I think, who made that library that all your friends use and all your coworkers use. But it's possible to have too many heroes, everybody, it seems like, I write a weekly blog post where I follow all the new libraries that come out and stuff like that. It seems like there's a lot of libraries coming out on a daily basis, and not all of them are that useful. Some of them seem to kind of do the same thing that I saw somebody else do last week. They duplicate a lot of features, and so we can't. It's not possible for us all to create the frameworks that everybody's going to use, because it's just not, there's too many of us and not enough need. So what I wanted to, say is that it's really, we need to look at like how many tools we have. Right now there's just too many libraries, too many frameworks, and we get a little bit paralyzed by choice, because we'll have like 10 different frameworks or libraries that do the same thing, and everybody's talking about, oh, well, I have this stack and I use this framework with that framework with this library on this platform, and for somebody who's coming into the community, who's new to JavaScript and new to HTML stuff, that can be a little bit frustrating, and so what we need to do is provide them more instructions. We need to provide them more direction. Oftentimes you go to these sites and they'll provide you with very little actual documentation. There's nothing there, or what's there is really bad. They've given you something that's like overly simple. It's like, oh, well, it's just hello world, but I can't go any further than hello world. Or I give you something really complex because the guy who wrote it was the guy who wrote the library, and he's too deep in it to know. And then your developers just, the people who come in there, they have no idea what to do with your project. So how do I get started? What do I do? And it can be very frustrating. So, and if your project doesn't get used, all that work you put into it just goes nowhere, right? So, what I want to propose is that for you to be an open source superstar, to be somebody known in the community, is write about these things, contribute to documentation, be the person who writes the getting started, who writes the tutorials. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, right? So that's one of the fun things is well, if you're not really a writer, maybe you want to contribute to API documentation, because I can just dig into the library, start going through the methods, and writing out what this does and what returns I can expect and things like that. So that's a little bit more of a developer-y thing. But if you're a good writer, hey, write articles. You can put this on your blog, but you can also contribute to their wikis. You can put it on third-party sites. You can write the getting started guides and things like that, or how-tos. You can even, if you're up for that and you're not really a writer, but you want to record videos, and you can do a screencast to show them, oh, this is how I use this particular project at work, or this is how I got started with it. And it gives you the opportunity to learn about new things. You can pick a project that you're particularly interested in, or this is one we're considering using at work, and I can go learn about it, and I can do it in a way that isn't intimidating, right? So, because, I don't know about you, but looking at some of the code of some of these projects, I'm a little bit scared to contribute, and maybe my code doesn't live up to the standards of the gurus who created the project. But writing documentation is a whole separate thing. I can write about something I love, and you know what? They're going to love you for it, because they don't have time to do this. They don't have time to do it, but their community needs it. If the project is going to succeed, it's going to do that with good documentation. And so the people who use the project will love you as well, because this is what they need. This is the stuff they're going to use it at work. They're going to rely on what you wrote to get this project working in their office, to integrate it with their app. And this is going to make you, well, wealthy and famous, hopefully. So yeah, there's a lot of wealthy, famous documentation people you don't know about, because there's, anyway. But so anyway, contribute to documentation and be a good community member. Thanks.